All right, we have two other little trainings that we'd like to go through with commissioners as part of making sure that we're consistent with the camp commissioner trainings and your expectations at camp. So let's just go through these two. So first one we're going to talk about is skills for working with units. So the different objectives in this PowerPoint, which I'll kind of go through somewhat quick with you, is to be able to describe the aspects and importance of key skills and recall the process for communicating to camp management. We'll talk about different roles different people take in this team effort. So some of the barriers that get put up that you need to kind of be aware of and how to work through those things would be poor communication skills, lack of information, fatigue, not being able to make it the whole week, personality conflict, and inaccurate perceptions. So by us being consistent with things and talking as a team through stuff, we can usually be able to break through a lot of these barriers. Now, as the commissioner, you are the eyes and ears of camp, and you try to get information back to us in the office so we can try to improve things. Well, same to the troops. If we're seeing issues, to try to talk to them. Our biggest thing to try to work through these barriers is to work together as a team. So remember, customer service, the only thing people remember longer than service is bad service. And the way we can make sure that they don't think about that is to give them the best customer service we possibly can. Basically, as Paul Schwartz, our scout exec, said last year, if a troop wants 10,000 candy canes at 2 a.m, we got to find a way to get that done. So whatever information you hear or see from the troops that you can get back to us that we can improve on, the better. So we can make sure camp runs smoothly and everyone's having a good time. That's the most important thing. There we go. So, unfortunately, there are usually people that are irate and not very friendly when we're at camp. Sometimes they just want to have their voices heard. Sometimes they just want to complain because that's what they do. Here are some of the things that I think are important, and the PowerPoint also thinks are important. I added a couple in here about how to deal with irate individuals. One of the things you have to do, and this is one I added that's kind of hard, but I think it really makes a big difference, is listening with your full attention. If they look angry and they look upset, you still got to give them the same attention you would if they're happy and they're talking with you. So listen with all full attention and give them all of your effort as you talk with them. Do that by maintaining eye contact and try not to be distracted. Other people talking to you, you being on your phone, looking down at a paper, that just makes people a little more upset. Try to be the positive person. Keep using positive language as you work with them. Try to keep your emotions in check. That's one I added because I know sometimes that can be hard, but just remember when people are yelling, they're not yelling at you personally. You're just the one that's getting their frustration. You just got to be able to try to keep that positive feeling as you're working with them and not let it become a personal attack. Try to find some way to connect. And if they're asking for help with something and you don't know, but you can find out from somebody how to fix it. Try to remember this person is upset for some reason. Treat them with respect, no matter how you're being treated. We always try to be the better person on staff. Ask for short, guiding sentences to make sure you clearly understand what's being asked the whole time. And agree with something he or she says. Try to show them that you're listening and that you agree with them and that's something that you can work on. And the one thing I also added on here is try to have the person make small decisions or ask them to give some feedback how they think they see the situation being played out, what can be done. Put it back on them to give them some way to try to help the problem. Those usually are little tricks. And the other thing, too, is if it gets to a really, really bad situation, don't be afraid to ask me to step in and help you out. So in the presentation here, they have this thing about how to make decision-making steps. And this really reminds me a lot of the engineering process that we use in school when I teach Project Lead the Way. So when we're trying to make decisions on how to move forward, remember, we first have to find out what the underlying problem really is. What is it that's making people upset, or what's the thing that we really need to solve? Try to gather as much information as we can about it, look at the situation and see if we can analyze how it could be developed, then put together some options of how we could develop a solution, evaluate whether some of those will work well, select on an alternative, and act on the decision. If it doesn't work, we'll continue the process and try again. So here's an example of, let's say, you being thirsty. So what's the problem? Well, I am thirsty. What are some of the choices we have available to us to solve this? Well, we could get a drink of water. We go get a slushie in the trading post. There's different things here. And then you have to start thinking about things like, well, what are the calories and sugar for those choices? Do I care about that? Do I really want to have low calorie or high calorie? Does it matter? And then questioning yourself about, are there specific tastes for what I want for my thirst? Once you have that, you decide on a drink. You can purchase that drink. And if it's not good enough or you want more, you can always go back again. It's just an example to show how we can use the decision-making steps, something that is included in this training to talk through. Excuse me. Now, one of the important things to talk about are the different roles in camp. So we'll start with mine. As the camp director, my main responsibilities at camp is of the administration of action that's going on in camp, administering the staff, the participants, and including the commissioners and all that other stuff. I oversee the program, basically overseeing the program director running the program, but I'm here to oversee the program, help oversee that the facilities and the maintenance of those facilities are being managed. That's usually done in partnership with the ranger, which is a great example of how two people can work together really well. The personnel and the education, knowing if there's mistakes, how people can improve on them. Not yelling, but how to work on those. And obviously merit badges and stuff. Now the program director, they're basically the program manager for all the program that's going on in camp. They're responsible to keep me, the camp director, informed and involved in regarding any program operation of the camp. What do I need to do to help out the program director? And that's where your role can usually come in, is if I need help or the program director asks for help, what can the commissioner do to help with the flow of program? The program director serves as a role model for the rest of the staff. They help supervise and evaluate the performance of the programs. They're responsible to maintain all the standards that we have to meet for the BSA and the NCAP standards for our inspections, and has a fiscal responsibility, not just letting staff spend whatever they want, but making sure they stay within our budget. And they serve as an ambassador of goodwill at camp. Sounds a lot like a commissioner, doesn't it? Well, here are some of the parts of a commissioner. First, what's the mission of a commissioner? You're here to help the scouts obtain the maximum benefit of their experience, making sure they enjoy every possible moment and whatever it is that you can do to help them have that happen. The other mission is to maintain a consistent contact with the leaders, council leaders if you see they need assistance, and suggest ways to fulfill the needs of the program. So it's kind of changed a little bit from the past of what we usually remember the commissioner to be. It's not someone who's just going to be a skills instructor anymore. It's being a friend, a liaison to everyone. You don't have to be a troubleshooter or a helper all the time. That's kind of changed a little bit. You are allowed or willing to or expected to assist the units with planning some things, but not all their activities. You can give them suggestions of what's going on in camp, but you're not there to plan all their program activities. You can aid in securing their resources of things they might need, but not having to put on the trainings for them. We expect you to interact with the staff members and get information back from them, not as a superior, but as a peer, and try to give us some information of ways that we can help them out. And being the eyes and ears of camp, that's one thing that will never change. That's something that you have to stick with, but it can change day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour, all those different things. So what can you do specifically to help the units? Well, if they want help with planning a campfire, there's a suggestion. You could provide trainings if they ask for them for leaders, or find a way to get them the trainings. We know most of the trainings in scouting now are consistent and are online at my.scouting.org. You can always show them where to go. Help sign in units. If we need help in the office, we may ask you to take on office hours to do certain things like that. If necessary, you could possibly fill in as a temporary leader. Maybe a scout needs to be taken to the hospital. You could be their leader in the site or overnight or something like that if you're willing. Assist in any inter-unit activities. Try to bring troops together that are near each other. That's always helpful. You could help coordinate camp-wide games if the program director needs assistance. Promote advancement at camp. That's always a big thing as you're walking around. Please encourage them to come back. More scouts. More fun here at Long Lake. And promote the high adventure in the outpost to the older kids. There's a lot of cool things that we're doing with our outpost, but sometimes they don't think about it because, let's be honest, most of the scouts and obviously most of the leaders, all they think about when they're at camp is advancement, advancement, advancement. There's a lot more than just advancement that goes on in camp. We really hope that you can help us bridge that gap to the units so they know that as well. So there's a couple different things. If you're coming up here with the troops for the Scouts BSA program, some of the other things to help specifically for them, plan a program, make sure the scouts understand the camp tour, so making sure they go on the tour. Work with the Scoutmaster to find the information they need about different trainings. Be with the scouts and see how they fit in, if they need help with routines. Make sure the leaders who are there all week follow the procedures and that we reward them and honor them for all their time. And if there's any homesickness or any issues, you can alert our chaplain and they can help out, or he can help out in any way possible. Now, if you're going to be up here for Weeblos resident camp, some of the things are the same, but they're a little different. Trying to inform the Cub Masters of any activities that could be possibly done that they may not be aware of. They may need a little more guidance. Work with the Cub Master or the den leader on games that they could do, maybe in their site to fill in time during their open time. Work with the Cub Master or den leader in identifying what rank requirements are being offered at camp and how they can go about getting them signed up. Or taking them on a hiking event or something. Keep them active and engaged. So basically these are the lesson objectives replaced in a summary. So hopefully you're able to describe the typical summer camp staff and their duties, understand the duties of you, and understand how your duties interface with the units and the staff that are at camp. So that ends this video.